Before we begin transformation on Trailbreaker here, I just want to point out a couple of things. It's not really a hard transformation as far as the number of steps, but it is really fiddly, for lack of a better term. And if you do your prep work ahead of time and you know what's coming in the following steps, it's kind of like chess. If you make good moves early, the transformation is going to go a lot smoother. That being said, I'm giving you a disclaimer. This right here, this is going to be a pain in the butt. It has been every single time. It's just something that I struggle with. Hopefully I won't struggle with it too much during this transformation, but I'm going to share that pain with you because I'm sure some of you are going to experience that as you transform this guy. All that being said, let's go ahead and get started. And what we're going to do is we're going to start over here with the nozzle. So I'm going to straighten the arm out. The reason that I'm doing that is because the clearance you have in this forearm, when you fold this in, there's not a lot of it. So if you have his arm bent, you're not going to get the nozzle to sit in there all the way properly. So I'm going to straighten that arm out, and then I'm just going to push down on this, try to open that up, and hopefully my nozzle will come with the bottom piece. And if it doesn't, I'll just put the bottom piece back on. So it didn't come with the bottom piece. It just stayed up there, and I'm just going to slide it onto that bottom piece right there, just like that. Swing it in, make sure you have the nozzle collapsed, swing it all the way in, and then close that up. Same thing, well, yeah, let's go ahead and go over here to the fist. So same thing with this fist over here. I'm going to push down. Yay, the fist stayed with it. So I'm going to swing the fist in, and my fist fell off. It's just part of the deal with this guy. So swing the fist in, and then collapse that. You'll notice I did not have to straighten the arm on this side. You've got enough clearance for the fist, so it's up to you if you want to straighten it or if you don't. Ultimately, you're going to have to anyway. So you've got those folded in. Now you're going to take your arms, you're going to rotate them 180 degrees right there at that bicep, and then you're going to push in and collapse that. Do the same thing over here, 180, and give it a push and collapse. So you've got the arms about as ready as they're going to get. Now we're going to come up here to his little force field generator. We're going to rotate that so it's sitting at 90 degrees, sitting vertical instead of horizontal. Then we're going to come over here to this. Yet another reason I don't like this thing, you'll notice that there is a split in it. This is designed because this comes in half, as I'll show you now, and it's such a tight split that more often than not, it sticks under my fingernail, but this time I got lucky. So you're going to split that so it's sitting like that. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and move these out of the way. These are going to keep getting in your way, just part of the deal. So I'm going to come down here now, and I'll just raise those arms up out of the way. I'm just going to pull on this backpack, give it a gentle pull right here. That's going to release it right there. And then once you've gotten that, come back here and give these a pull right here on this back window. And then that's going to release that back window. And that's going to loosen a bunch of stuff up back here. Give this a pull. So you had these tabs sitting in those slots right there. Once you give that a pull, that releases the rest of this. All right. Now, what I'm going to do, it's not necessarily something that you have to do, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and stiffen this up. Otherwise, these things are just going to keep flopping all over the place and get on my nerves. So I'm going to take these pieces right here. I'm going to fold these up. So these fold up in on the inside right there. And then I'm going to fold this piece out. I'm going to do the same thing over here. Fold this up, and I'm going to fold that piece out. There's your tail lights. And now you have these slots right there, and then you have these tabs right here. They're going to line up. So you'll notice in here you have sliders. So they slide in, they slide out, depending on the orientation. If it's going to be the truck, they're in. If it's the backpack, they're out. Okay? So, sorry, I was pointing at the wrong thing. These are the tabs right up here. And then you're going to bring this down. You're going to line those up. You're going to push those in. Do the same thing on the other side over here. And now instead of having a floppy mess back here, now I've got something that's a little more stiff, something that's not going to keep getting in my way. And you've created the back of the truck, essentially. Okay, next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to give this a gentle push right here. That's going to pop the head for me. So I'm just going to stick my thumb in there, give that a gentle push. That pops the head up. So now what you're going to do is you're going to take that head, you're going to move that head 180 degrees. So it should be sitting like that. You're going to feed it back through that hole in the roof. And then you're going to collapse this up. Make sure that your head is sitting nicely. And give that a push. And then you should have something that looks like that. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to separate this joint right here. That's going to separate that body. And then when I do that, you'll notice there's a slider right down here. So now I'm going to, if it hasn't already done it, so when you open it up, it may slide up forward on you. So that's going to slide that forward, and then when it does, it's going to give you that clearance that you need for your windshield, and then your windshield is going to be oriented correctly right there. All right, so now what we're going to do is take this back piece, move that out of our way a little bit more. We're going to need to take this and this thing over here. We're going to need to tuck them away and put them on the insides right here. So for this one, you have a hinge. It's going to allow you to turn that at a 90-degree angle so you can clear these arms. So you're going to swing that up, and then you're going to collapse that back up. I make sure, once I bring this forward, I make sure that I give that a nice push, so that way I am as straight as possible. And then you're going to swing that in and just get it approximately right there. Do the same thing over here with this. Swing this in and get it, sorry if I'm doing this off frame, and get it about right there, just so you've got these out of your way. Now, what I've discovered during the course of transforming this a few times, you're going to tuck these arms away, and when you tuck these arms away, you want this sitting as flush as possible with those arms. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. So let's go ahead and get these arms. You're going to take your arms, and let's see if I can give you a better angle on this. Yeah, push this back a little bit. Okay. So you're going to want to take these arms, and you're going to bring these arms in like this. And they're going to sit like that for you. You want to make sure that you see the screws. All right, so bring those in, and you're going to do that. Now, if you look right here at the side, you'll notice that you've got this little piece right here, this little window. This is going to try to collapse in on you when you do the next steps, but you're sitting on a double hinge right here. So what you're going to do is you're actually going to take this assembly, and you're going to bring that down. And you see what I mean? This little window is going to try to collapse in on you. Don't let it collapse in on you. It still may get away with it on me. It's a little sneaky that way. But you get it in approximately that position, and you're getting closer to how you need to orient this thing. So you'll notice that my little force shield generator got tucked away behind the arms. So just bring that, get your finger in there, bring that up. You're going to want to put it about right there. And now this piece right here, you've got like zero room for error on this piece, the shoulder mounted gun right here, because when you bring this down, you want to make sure that this thing is sitting flush, and make sure that you can get your arms all the way in there. So you want to make sure that this thing is sitting flush with the arms, and right now it's not, it's sticking out. So this is what I'm talking about, it being a little bit of a pain in the butt. So this may take a lot of adjustment, where you're going to have to take these apart, move this around, you know, make minor adjustments to it, up and down and over, and because this is your homework. If you don't get this thing right, where it's sitting correctly, then your legs aren't going to sit in there properly, and you're going to have a gap. And I'll show you here in a minute. Let me put this cab piece back on. So it looks good right there, but what I'm going to do before I go any further is I'm going to swing it around. I'm going to make sure I have just the most minor of a gap right here, but that tells me that I'm sitting about as good as I'm going to sit with that gun. So I'm in pretty good shape right there. So you want to make sure that you're about as good as you can get with these items sitting like that. So that way you give yourself all the room that you can. This arm's not pushed all the way in, or not collapsed all the way in, so now I'm going to undo everything I've done to collapse my arm all the way in and get it back in there. There we go. All right, so make sure you've got everything nice and compacted in like that. Double check your gaps. So I've got just the most minor of a gap there, which is no worse than what I've typically seen with this. So now, as far as I'm concerned, I'm done with this area. Now I'm going to come down here to the doors, and as far as those doors go, you're just going to give those a pull. You're going to swing those around. You're going to clear this piece right here, and then you're going to swing them out and lift that window up very tight on this side on my copy. And then you're just going to put the doors approximately where they need to be. You're not ready to close those doors or do anything else with them yet. So same thing, grab this, bring it around, swing that out, grab that window, open that window up, put the door approximately where it needs to be. All right, so I'm going to pull that back a little bit so you can see. You should have something that looks about like that. All right, so now what we'll do is we'll take these wheels, we're going to swing these wheels down, and then you'll notice these wheels don't fit all the way until you move this up to give you the clearance, and then they'll fall right into these slots right there. Okay, so now as far as I'm concerned, we have a majority of the upper portion done. So now we're going to turn our attention to these legs down here. So I'm going to do a quick camera adjustment so I can lay this guy down, and then we can talk about those legs. All right, so as far as the legs go, first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to want to turn this leg 180 degrees right up here, not at the thigh, but just above that knee. So turn that 180 degrees. And on this leg, I'm going to grab this foot. I'm going to pull it away. I'm going to grab this panel right here. I'm going to lift that panel up. And this is where that panel is going to live. You don't do anything else with this panel except what you're seeing right here. I'm going to grab this panel, pull that panel out. I'm going to grab this tire, pull that tire out. And then I'm going to take this little guy right here, and I'm going to push on this until it collapses. And it is tight. It may be tight on yours. I know it's definitely tight on mine. So once you have all this done, you'll notice you've got a slider right there. You're going to slide all that forward and collapse that leg. Once you've done that, you can close this panel back up, and then this tire right there, that tab will go right into that slot right there, and you've got that part complete. So now as far as the foot goes, take the heel spur, bring that heel spur down. You'll see that makes the rear of the tailgate, and then take that toe and flip that toe up just like that, and then you're going to push that in. So this was your before, this is your after, and you can see what you've done there. All right, so we're going to do the same thing to this leg over here. We're going to rotate that 180 degrees at that knee. We're going to lift the panel up, pull your foot away, lift or pull this back panel, pull this tire out of the way, collapse this piece. Very tight. And you see your slider, slide all this together, collapse your panel, take that tire or wheel, close that up, and then come down here to your foot. There's the bottom of your tailgate, and then there's your toe. Swing that toe in, and then collapse that. So now you have your two legs done, and then you have a peg and a port. So you have your peg, you have your port. Bring those legs together, close those up, make sure your waist is oriented correctly. All right, so you should have something, if I lay it on its side, you should have something that looks like this. And now it's a matter of sliding all this together, or bringing it all together, I should say. So you're actually going to bring this up, and then this forward piece is actually going to, you're going to feel it, it's going to clip in like that, and then you're going to bring the rest of this forward. And as you do, be careful not to catch your doors on these side panels. So bring that in, bring those down. Try to keep all that from collapsing in on you. Start bringing all that together, and then what you have these slots right there, and then you have these tabs right in there, and you're going to line those up and collapse those in. Do that on both sides, and then close that up. All right, and we're almost home. Now really this comes to the point where now you're going to do a lot of squeezing, and that's the part I really don't like, all the squeezing that's involved here, just to get him where he's looking like he's lined up properly. But let's go ahead and keep moving. So you're going to take your doors, you can push your doors in, and then you have these little pegs right there that are going to go into these ports right there. So you're going to just use your thumb, line all that up, get those lined up, and give those a push, and do the same thing over here. So get your doors kind of sort of lined up, give those a push, and now you're going to do a whole lot of squeezing just to get everything lined up. That door popped out, that's okay. Now I'm going to just do this. It sounds horrible, but it does help as far as getting everything lined up. Do the same thing over here. Give this a push up. Give that a push in. Give everything a squeeze. Squeeze, squeeze. Oh, I don't want to squeeze the hood yet because we've got one more step after that. All right, so that's about as good as you get it. I mean, you could probably get things squeezed just a little bit more, but I'm not going to waste our time in the transformation portion of this. This gets you about home. So the last few things that you're going to need to do is just get those mirrors out. So take your grill, if it didn't already come down, take your grill, push your grill down. Gives you enough of a gap to reach up here under your hood, and then you're going to take those mirrors and pull those mirrors out. So there's no real good area to grab the mirrors, so you just kind of use some friction and then get your finger underneath it if you can. Maybe. There we go. And then bring that hood down, and you do have this little tab right here that kind of slides underneath that hood. If you get it about approximately lined up, and then just give that a push and a snap. Be sure to remember to bring your grill up, and then you have Trailbreaker in his vehicle mode, and then you can play for an hour with him like I will to try to get all those panels aligned. So there you go. That is the transformation on Trailbreaker to get him into his alt mode. So let's go ahead and get started. And if you haven't already done so, go ahead and take the parabolic antenna off and then fold this little flap down right there. After you've done that, you're just going to come here to the front. You're going to take this grill and you're going to drop this grill down. Just open it up like that. That's going to let you open up the hood. And now you're going to fold those mirrors in, those two areas right there. So just take those mirrors, fold them in, and then you can take the hood, put that hood back down. Now you're going to come over here, you're going to open these doors, and that's just going to separate this stuff. And then you're going to come right here. The easiest way that I've found is you have these little gaps right here. You can just get your thumbnail right under there, and you're going to pry that apart right there, and do the same thing over here. Once you have these pried apart, make sure that you keep them spread, and then pull up on this a little bit. And now you're going to take this entire cab, and you're going to lift that up. So you should have something that looks like that. So I'm going to ignore this up here for now, and then I'm going to take care of these legs. That way if I need to stand him up, I'm going to be able to do so. So my grill came off. Not too worried about it. The grill can pop right back on. So I'm going to take those legs. I'm going to split them. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here. I'll start over here on this leg. I'm just going to take this foot. I'm going to bring that toe down, and I'm just going to bring that foot down out of my way. Take this bottom flap right here. That becomes his heel. Take that out, grab your wheel right there, pull that wheel, just leave it sit there for a moment. Then you've got this back panel right here. You're going to lift that back panel up, and then come right here. You've got this little spot. This is the piece that you push down when you turn him into his truck mode. And you're going to pull on this, and it's tight. You're going to pull on it till it snaps and is flush. So you've got that. And now this entire assembly right here is on that slide, so you're going to give this a pull. And you're going to pull that down. That extends that leg out. And then now you're going to take this flap right here. Well, before you put that flap, go ahead and put your tire in. Now you're going to take this and you're going to bring that panel down. And then you can take this panel and bring that down as well. Now, one thing that I've learned is if this doesn't sit flush, if you've got a little bit of a gap or it's raised or doesn't feel like it's sitting quite right, double check and make sure you've got this pulled all the way down. All right? So you've got one leg done. Last step we're going to do is right here just above the knee is turn that around 180 degrees. So let's go ahead and do the same thing over here. So we're going to take that foot, bring that foot down, bring that toe down, bring that heel flap out, bring that tire out, drop this panel right there, reach up under here, pull this and slide this out. Bring that wheel, tuck that wheel away, bring this panel down, and bring this piece down. So you can see I've got a little bit of a raised area right there, so I just need to make sure that I have everything pulled and in the right position. So give that a pull. There we go. Yep. It helps if I actually put that panel down first. There we go. And then now I'm nice and flush. All right, and come over here, take this and rotate it 180 degrees. So now we have the legs completed. Now all we have to do is concentrate on working on the upper body up here. So in doing so, you're going to take these tires right here, you're going to flip those tires in. After you do that, go ahead and work on these doors. So these doors, you have, let's see if we can find the best way to show you. Right in this area right here, these are sitting on a little bit of a slide. So what I've discovered is to get these tucked away properly, you make sure that you've got this pulled out all the way, and you can feel a little click when you do it. So I don't know if you could hear that, but that's that little click, and now you can see I have a gap right there in that oval area, that slotted area. So now I'm going to take the window, I'm going to fold my window in, and now I need to get this door around this piece. So I'm going to start bringing it in, I'm going to flip it up, rotate it around, and bring it in. And now if you look right in here, you have a little slot right there, and then you've got this rib right there that you're going to line those up. So you're going to bring this door down, and then you're going to tuck that away right in there, and it's going to sit just like that. All right, we'll do the same thing over here on this door. So grab this, feel the click, and then fold your window up, raise this up, bring this around. I'll change my view here so you can see. You have that slot, you have that rib, and then you're going to bring this down and line that up and tuck that away right there. All right, now that we've done that, now we have this area right in here. So you see how your windshield is just kind of where it's supposed to be, but you have this slide assembly right here. So what you're going to need to do is you're going to need to give this a wiggle until your windshield comes loose, and then that's going to allow you to slide this entire thing right here down and bring that slide assembly down. And then if we turn around and take a look, you'll see what it did. Basically it tucked that windshield down into what eventually will be his torso, or his, what I like to call his beer belly. All right, so once you've done that, now you can turn your attention. I may adjust my camera here, hold on, bear with me. Actually, you know what? I think I can get away with it like this. Yeah, I can get away with it like this. So now you're going to turn your attention to all this up here. Now you'll notice just in the process of handling, some of this stuff has come loose, but what I'm going to do primarily is I'm going to take this piece right here, I'm going to lift that up. And when I lift that up, as you can see, this fell down, which is totally fine, which is what I want them to do, but I want them to tilt backwards this direction. So these are going to get in your way with gravity. It's just part of the deal. They're just sitting very loose just because they're on these sliders right in here. So they're just going to keep getting in your way. So just do your best to bear with them. But this is going to give me access to my arms now. So now I'm going to get this gun out of my way. I'm going to get this little force field generator out of my way. And now I can take these arms and I can just bring them down like this. And then I'm going to raise them up so they're oriented like that. All right. Now that we have that completed, we're going to sneak these, the force field generator and that gun, we're going to sneak them around 180 degrees. But before we do that, we're going to take this head and we're going to get the head where it belongs. You don't want to forget about the head, so you can see he's just sitting there smiling at you. And what I've discovered is if you look on the back side here, you're going to basically push the head up through this hole right there. So let's go ahead and do that. Take your thumb and give that a gentle push. And then that's going to allow that head assembly to go through that hole right there. And then once you do that, I'm going to come over here. You can see it's on an axis right there. So let's go ahead and rotate that head around so it's sitting as it should. You can, if you want to right now, you can drop that head and plug it in, or you can wait until later. It's really up to you. It may come loose during the process of the completion of the transformation, but let's go ahead and just push the head in where it belongs, just like that for now. All right, so now we're going to get to work on the backpack. Let's get these things out of our way. Goodness, they flop around a lot. So you're going to take that weapon. The nice thing about this, the shoulder cannon right here, is it has a joint right there where it allows you to bend that at 90 degrees, so you can get that tucked around out of the way past the shoulder. And then this one, you don't need it. You just feed that through and get it to the other side. And in the course of doing that, I've knocked this loose, but that's all right. We'll get to it later. He's just a floppy mess right now. When you explode him like this, he just flops around like crazy. All right, so now what we're going to do back here, when he's in his vehicle mode, this back area, if I can get it there, this back area is flat, like this. What we're going to need to get it is where it's sitting with kind of a tent or a peak right there in the middle. So in order to accomplish that, we're going to do a couple things. Number one, we're going to take these tail light pieces and we're going to fold those in like that. Let's go ahead and do this side as well. And then you have the insides of the quarter panels fold down perpendicular. All right, so let's go ahead and do that over here. Pull that down. You have those sitting like that. And now you notice, as we said before, this is on a slide. So what you're going to do now is you have these slots right here that are going to correspond to these, if I can give you a good view of them, these tabs right there. So you've got a tab right there and a tab right there. So now what you're going to do, you're going to make sure that you've got this open, and this rear window is sitting on a double hinge. You're actually going to just bring that down on that double hinge and collapse that inside like that. What that's going to allow you to do is line up those tabs and slots. So you're going to plug that in, do the same thing over here, plug that in, give them a good squeeze. Now on mine, this side plugs in nice and tight. This side I'm left with a gap. I don't know if it's just a tolerance issue, but I'm just left with a gap there. There's not a whole lot that I can do about it. But what you've done, and you notice now, you have that peak. So let's go ahead and lift this piece up. And that way we can bring that piece down, and then you can see that peak that you're going to have in his backpack instead of being flat across. He's got a bit of that peak. All right, now on these, you see these two little guys right here with the holes in them. They're going to slide through these two slots right there. So those two slots are right there behind the head. So there's a little bit of magic that you got to do here, just magic handling, I guess, where you want to feed those through and get them start to get them fed through. And then you've got this main piece right here that's got this big tab, and then it goes into this big slot, and that's where your body locks in. So let's go ahead and do that now. We'll open those legs up a little bit because I'm going to put my thumb right there. I'm going to put my forefinger right here, and then I'm going to take this and I'm going to squeeze that down. All right, so you can kind of see where this is going. Now, the tricky part, especially if you have larger fingers, is getting your fingers in here with enough room to force those tabs through. So sometimes it helps if you can kind of get them started to line up. I'm taking my middle finger, I'm getting those fed through, and they don't snap. It's just simply a matter of getting them started. So you've got them in a good spot right there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to come down here. You have these slots, you have these tabs, and then you've got this little snap area right here. So what I do is I put my finger here, my thumb and my middle finger on the hips like that, and then I hold nice and tight right here, and I bring this down, and then I'm going to push these together, and that's going to lock all this into place. And then once you've got all that locked into place, he should be sitting pretty. So I like to keep this piece open back there. All right, so now if you get him here, if you've done it properly, he's going to be tight. Nothing should flop around, nothing should be loose. Okay, so if you've got some stuff that's loose, something isn't locked in all the way. So just double check all that and make sure you've got everything tabbed in properly. But once you've got him here, he should be nice and tight. All right, so let me do a quick camera adjustment to bring him up since he's a little bit taller now. All right, so now what we can do is we'll go ahead and we'll work on his weapons here. So you're just going to take that force field generator and you're going to rotate that 90 degrees. And then for this shoulder mounted cannon right here, you're going to, this is split open, so there's a hinge right there in the middle. So you're going to rotate that, and then you're going to collapse that gun together. All right, so you have that done. Make sure to straighten that out. I mean, I guess if you want to shoot at an angle, you could, but just make sure you straighten that out. All right, squeeze all that together. And now we're left with the arms. So while you have the arms in this position, while they're straight and while you have easy access, open those panels up and then go ahead and bring his nozzle out, collapse that panel. You can then pull on this, extend those out, rotate them 180 degrees, and then you've got one arm complete. So do the same thing over here, open that panel up, take that fist, bring the fist out, close the panel, extend it, rotate 180, and then you have his fist done. So the only thing that we have left is just where his grill came off. Just no big deal. I probably just didn't have it secured in there all the way. So you just take the grill and pop the grill back on, and then you're good to go. You have sideswipe. Where did I come up with that? You have Trailbreaker complete in his bot mode, and I think he looks pretty good.